Hi everyone. So I promised, I don't know if I actually promised, but I said I would make a video the week after I made my last one, and so here it is. It's just gonna be a bunch of big news that has been hitting my life. What's going on with me? So, this past week, I went up to Columbus, Ohio, to see a psychologist, and the reason for that is to get an official autism diagnosis. Now, the first person in my adult life to suggest that I may have autism is the therapist that I'm seeing right now. Therapist number 4, by the way. She herself is also late diagnosed female autistic. And, well, the reason why I went to see this therapist for the 4th time in my life is because I've been dealing with issues at my current work. And it's mainly due to my current role and me not being a good fit for each other. Now, I'm very fortunate to be part of this rotational program that can allow me to switch over to a different kind of role that would better fit my interests and abilities. I'm currently in a process engineering role at the plant that I'm working at. In addition to wanting to work a different role, I also would ideally like to move somewhere else because I do have aspirations to pursue becoming an ice skating coach, but not only that, becoming an ice skating therapist. And I've thrown this idea out into a bunch of online forums, and it sounds like a good idea to some people. So I think that's something that I would like to pursue for my future. Now, that's not to say that I'm going to be leaving engineering completely. What I'm looking for in my next role is something that's requires more individual work while still coordinating with some people, but those people I would prefer to have more consistency with, like having a smaller group that I'm working with, rather than having to coordinate with a whole bunch of different people in different departments or areas. Going into my current role, I hadn't realized just how much people coordination process engineering requires. So now that I've had a taste of big production plant engineering, I know it's not for me. But this is not to dissuade anyone who does want to work in such a facility, because it could be your fit. For me, the biggest sensory sensitivities I have surrounding that area, other than it just being really big and overwhelming, and I never could really get used to it. But at the same time, you don't want to get used to it because, of course, there's a whole bunch of safety protocols surrounding such a place. And so you always have to be vigilant and be aware of where and how you're working. But just that area with the noise and having to be able to focus and be involved in such safety sensitive projects, it's tough. It's tough for somebody like me who really needs a lot more alone time and I have the ability to work really well if I'm working on my own and I've been taught and I know what I'm doing. If I never really grasp any of the skills that they're wanting me to have for the role, if I never 100% get it, and I'm always going to have to go around and ask people and get them to do my work for me because I don't know anything that's going on, it just makes me feel very drained for having to reach out and initiate these conversations, and also feeling not as confident anymore, not competent, because I can't do anything on my own anymore. So the next role that I'm looking to move into is with the research and development engineering team, specifically at the R&D facility that's near my company's headquarters in Delaware. And I believe that sort of role would fit my interests and abilities more. In past roles that I've had, and now these were internships and not long-term employment like I'm having currently, I was either in a lab environment, pretty small and comfortable in my opinion, or there is one that has been my favorite to this date, which was with Thermo Fisher, and I was working with a small team for calibrating all the different machinery and instruments that they had on that smaller scale manufacturing site. It was for biotech. And so having tried to go out of my comfort zone with this role right out of university, I've discovered after a year that it's not for me. I feel like I gave it my best shot and tried to push through discomfort, but with my therapy so far and with all the other late diagnosed autistic videos I've viewed on YouTube so far, continuing to push through that discomfort is not going to do anybody any favors, least of all ourselves. So from now on, I'm going to listen to my intuition more carefully. There have been other times in the past that I tried to ignore my intuition, and that's gotten me into some bad situations, or just being impulsive in general, and still learning about the world and how it works, and then also how my own mind works, who I am. And so after learning all of this, I've decided to pursue an official autism diagnosis, just in case I ever need to pull it out and get some accommodations from work. But after my first appointment with the psychologist, I have 2 more that are scheduled, and then 1 more I need to schedule for the results of my test. I'm also getting tested for ADHD again as well. I had done like a basic Connors test, but the psychologist said that certainly is not comprehensive enough. So I know I have some sort of intellectual disability, specifically regarding processing. I feel that it takes me longer to process information, especially if there are a lot of distractions around me, or even internally in my own head. Like, it's not like I can just stop my brain and focus on one thing at a time unless I'm in that flow state and I know what I'm doing, and that's when everything becomes clear. But otherwise, I just have a very nebulous mind, and a lot is going on in here. Yeah, in addition to that, well, I mentioned in my last video that I'm planning to get surgery for my back pain. In 2015, when I was like, I just turned 15 or so, I used to be a competitive figure skater. You might have seen like 1 or 2 skating videos on this account, but I actually have a lot more skating videos on my family's old YouTube channel and my first own YouTube channel that had mainly figure skating videos. Yeah. But anyway, I have something called spondylolisthesis, which simply means that one of my vertebrae has slipped out of place, and that specific vertebra is the L5, the lumbar 5, on the lower back or lower part of the spine. So for this procedure, I know the first big part is that they're gonna have to cut through my stomach and reach the back through there and like affix the vertebra that's fallen out of place and stabilize it, and then after that do a little incision in the back and then fix it from there as well. So it's a pretty involved procedure. It's going to be my first ever big surgery, and I'm only 24 now, but the pain since 2015 has only increased, despite having been given a brace like immediately after I sustained the injury in practice. It was because I fell and twisted the wrong way after doing a jump. The thing though is that while that injury may have triggered the slippage, there's also a chance that this issue is genetic, and that it was destined to slip at some point anyway. It wasn't, it's definitely almost certainly not just due to this fall. It's because of years of overuse. I've been hyperflexing, and figure skating, like competitive figure skating with all of those jumps and spins, twists and turns, it's very hard on the body. So it's not surprising that that such an injury has happened. And some people can recover from it and don't need surgery, but I feel that I do. If I'm to have a better quality of life, if I'm to go back to the things that I'm passionate about, which ice skating I still am. Another obstacle to not being able to ice skate as often as I want to is not having a rink nearby where I'm living right now. But I know moving to Delaware, it will be a different story because the University of Delaware has a pretty prominent skating program. And other things, I mean, I like being active. I like going on nature walks, discovering new parks, and then, of course, I love theme parks. I especially love the Disney theme parks, and I really love traveling in general, and so I'm really hoping that this back surgery procedure helps with my back pain, and I could be able to enjoy those things that I enjoyed much better, because I had been trying to push through the pain, which is not a good idea. Well, in addition to having that brace and also having a cortisone shot done in 2016, I had done physical therapy on and off for the past 9 years, and the most consistent I had been was this past year. I think it was like 6 to 7 months. I was able to keep up with this program that my employer offers. It's called Hinge Health. I definitely recommend it if you're dealing with back pain. It's good for strengthening those muscles. Unfortunately, the program wasn't enough to do anything significant for my back pain. And I had gone to some theme parks between last year and now, and it's just been really difficult to deal with, and it really sucks because I love going to those places. Like normally I wouldn't want to go somewhere that has a lot of huge crowds or noise, a lot of sensory overload, but it's different, especially for Disney World in particular, because there's just some sort of magic there that keeps me wanting to go back. And it really was my childhood. I grew up on Disney World. I went down for almost every Christmas, and some summers as well. So yeah, I have high hopes for this surgery. And in addition, my mental health, I feel, has improved a lot since I've started up therapy again, discovered that I could be autistic, and really figuring myself out more and having people to help me along that path. And of course, one of the people I also have to thank is my fiance, because he's been so supportive throughout this journey, and I really have him to thank for my better mental headspace and ability to keep moving forward, not dwell on past mistakes or the past in general, because we gotta put our behind in our past.